Hey guys, welcome to a project that we're going to be doing on ancient history, the nation of Israel. Okay, short video today just to explain this project because this project is surface level, you guys. What that means is that, look, we've been studying Semana Santa. We've been studying Jesus' death and resurrection. And so I thought it would be interesting and a little bit of different way to approach this week, right? If we study a little bit more in depth on Israel, on things that we've never studied before, and a little bit on the spread of Christianity in the Roman Empire, which is what we're going to do on Friday, okay? Because Israel is where Jesus grew up and died, and the Roman Empire was the one that was in control during the time of Jesus' death and during the time of the disciples, okay, and Paul, when they were trying to help the spread of Christianity. And it was hard because the Roman Empire was there always persecuting them for it, okay? So just some quick little projects this week to kind of just take our focus from Bible and expand it a little bit into the other subjects that we are learning, okay? So this project I'm very excited about, okay? Because this is something that we have not been able to talk about. This is very modern history, even though it goes really all the way back into the biblical times. And really, we could spend months studying just this topic. You know that right now Israel is involved in fighting all the time. But why? Because there's this little piece of land, okay, that all these countries love to fight over, okay? I'm going to read the paragraph at the beginning of this project. I want you to have this out. And like I said, we can't go into big depth about this, okay? But it's something that you need to understand. One, because it actually touches our biblical principles, okay? Even though it's a principle that's happening right now in our current world. And what I want you guys to do is to exercise your discernment in this. What would you do? Pardon. If you were involved in the decision making politically of whether or not to get involved in this kind of fighting, okay? So listen to the paragraph and you're kind of going to understand more about what I'm talking about. Because you guys have been exposed to current events and different stuff that happens around the world, you guys know that there's fighting in Israel. You know that it's a dangerous place, okay? You know that there's countries that hate Israel all around Israel, okay? And that basically the fighting is never going to stop. Okay, so here's a little bit of background as to why. And those of you that were here when we studied the Old Testament, you're going to know exactly where this came from, okay? It says, after the Babylonian captivity. So remember, God is continually letting the Israelites go into captivity from different rulers because of their rebellion against him. But the Babylonian captivity, which actually happened like in 2 stages, remember with Jeremiah, Isaiah, all of them were involved in warning the people of Israel this was going to happen and what was going to happen after the captivity, and how there was always going to be a remnant, okay, that was always going to be faithful to God, right? And God was going to help them at the end of this captivity. So the Babylonians take over, okay? Nebuchadnezzar, that's the Babylonians. The Babylonians were one of the first civilizations, right? One of the major civilizations, okay? They take over and bring Israel into captivity with them. Now remember, the Babylonian captivity ended up being something that God used, okay? That's where they invented synagogues because they didn't have their temple, which means that that's our idea of churches as well that we got from them, because they had to find little places to worship because they didn't have the main temple to go to, okay? Some of the people never actually moved back into the land of the promised land, okay? Some of them stayed in Babylonia because that's where their family had always been. Okay, so look, after the Babylonian captivity, the Israelite people had no true homeland, okay? Remember, then they go back and they try to build the wall. There's always going to be fighting. There's always going to be people there that don't want them anymore, right? Well, some of the Israelites returned to Canaan, others did not. Okay, so they were never a united nation again. Half of them stayed in Babylon, half of them went back to the promised land and tried to build a wall and had a lot of problems, right? The diaspora, or the scattering, okay, so now they're all over the place, of the Jewish population lasted for thousands of years. It was part of the punishment, you guys, because of their rebellion. Finally, in 1947, okay, 1947. That was in this. That's on our side of the history, not on back in the biblical times. Okay, That wasn't even 100 years ago, you guys. The United Nations resolved to make some of the British-controlled Palestine into an independent Jewish state. Okay, so it was the United Nations now that looked at the situation of the Israelites and said, okay, let's give them a country back. Let's give them some land back. But they took it from the Palestinians because it was owned by the British. Okay. In 1948, the nation of Israel was established. So the nation of Israel that we know right now is a young nation, okay? It is not a nation that has been around for siglos, okay? But the people have. We know that from the Bible. Almost immediately, the new nation was attacked by Palestinian Arabs and who did not want Palestine partitioned and refused to acknowledge the new Jewish state. And since then, fighting, okay? Since then, the nation of Israel has continued to fight wars against its neighboring states, including Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. Two areas that remain in contention, and you're going to hear this in any current news, is the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. What do you think are some reasons people support or don't support the United States' involvement with Israel? So boom, and all of a sudden it jumps to this. The perspective is going to be the United States. I want you to have the perspective of any country, okay? Any country. Should they get involved in this fighting or not, okay? It was the United Nations that set up this country, so all this, already we have the precedent, we have the principle that anybody can get involved and should get involved to help. Now, depending on the president of the United States, we have usually always been involved in helping the nation of Israel. We have usually always been involved in that until Obama, okay, who said, no mas, we don't want it, you cause too many problems, okay, which to a lot of Christians especially, they were like in panico, like, what in the world, you cannot go against the nation of God, okay. Then some people say, well, are they really the nation of God now? You know, or is it just a country set up by the United Nations with the name of the nation of God, right? So there's that conflict there. I will tell you that the majority of people in the United States that are Christians will say it's still the nation of God. We still have to bless it because of a verse in Genesis, okay? Genesis 12, when God was setting up the nation of Israel with Abraham, he said in verses 1 through 3, listen to this, pero Jehová había dicho a Abraham, vete de tu tierra y de tu parentela y de la casa de tu padre a la tierra que te mostraré. Y haré de ti una nación grande y te bendeciré. Y engrandeceré tu nombre y serás bendición. Listen, number 3. Bendeciré a los que te bendijeren y a los que te maldijeren maldeciré. Y serán benditas en ti todas las familias de la tierra. So, people have quoted that for years now. God says, I will bless those that bless you. I will curse those that curse you. So when Obama said, no more are we going to work with you, everyone was like, great. That means the nation of the United States is in big trouble with God because we're not helping the people of Israel. I'm not going to tell you my opinion on all that. I want you to decide what you think, okay? So, you need to decide if you were in the position of politics in the United States or wherever it is that had the opportunity to help Israel or not in their fight for land, in their fight because they have the land, what would you do, okay? So, what you're going to do is you are going to pick one of these articles I'm going to put on the group, okay? I'm going to put this page on the group. You're going to pick, two of these articles, okay? You're going to work on this today and tomorrow. You're going to pick, today you're going to take your notes, tomorrow you're going to make your video, okay? Of whatever you decide to do, because there's some options on the back. You're going to pick 2 of these articles, you're going to read them, and you're going to take notes. You have to have this the information, because you need to prove to me that you read 2 articles on this, okay? The pros and the cons. Pros are, I support it. Cons are, this is why I don't support it. Okay, the positives, pros, the cons, the negatives. Pros, the United States should support Israel politically, financially, and militarily against its enemies. Why? 3 big, the information reasons. Okay? Over here, con. The United Nations should not support Israel politically, financially, or militarily against its enemies. And why? Okay? Then you get to be creative. Oh, I'm not going to put this on the group. You have these articles. You have this packet. I forgot. Just pick 2. Tell me which ones they were. Tell me which ones you did, okay? And then give me your information. That's today's homework. You need to read your 2 articles, give me your information. Then tomorrow, you do one of these. What is your stance? That means what is your perspective? What is your defense? Should the United States support Israel politically, financially, and militarily against its enemies? Choose one activity from the choice board below to express your opinion. So after you do your pros and cons, now you have to decide. Are there more pros? Are there more cons? What are you going to do? Okay, you're the president. You're the Secretary of State. You're a congressman in the Congreso. You have to decide whether or not you're going to support the United States being involved or not, okay? And you can't say both. You can't say both. You can't say, well, I understand both ways. No, you have to. No one's paying you to be in the government to say that you're okay with both ways. No, they need you to decide. Are we going to support or are we not going to support, okay? These are the ways that you can express your opinion. Write a 3-paragraph essay, which is like not an essay, just 3 paragraphs. Create a poster. Write a letter to the local, state, or federal officials. So you're gonna say dear government official. That's all you have to say. Dear government official, and then you give your reasons of why you think that they should support Israel. Create a song or poem. That'd be cool. Draw a political cartoon, okay? A nice political cartoon. I'll give you an example if I remember. If I don't remember, send me a message telling me to remember to send an example of a political cartoon that I would accept. And then create a TV or radio advertisement, okay? An advertisement. Convincing people to support or not support Israel in their conflict, okay? It's interesting. It is something you guys have to know about that's going on in the world, okay? You have to. It's huge. It's dangerous over there. This is one of the biggest reasons, okay? It will help you understand a lot of current events if you understand this fight, okay? And then it's really important, really good for you to know why or why not you would be involved in something like that, okay? It's good. It's good to make you a good citizen of the world, knowing what you would or wouldn't do, okay, in a situation like that. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, just let me know. Today is the information. Tomorrow is finishing up the project. Bye.